Hello, day 13 of the Wildlife Lockdown Diaries. Today I'm going to briefly talk to you about gardens. There are about 15 million gardens in the UK, and that adds up to just over 7.5 million acres. That's more than all the nature reserves in the UK combined. Now your garden doesn't have to be big, and it certainly doesn't have to be expensive. And although the best thing you can generally do for nature is nothing, here's a few things you can do in your garden. I'm going to start with the single most beneficial thing you can do for wildlife in your garden, and that is to build a pond. Whether it's the size of a bucket or a larger pond like mine, it's going to attract all sorts of wildlife. You can expect to see various animals drinking from it and various things bathing in it. And of course you can expect things like frogs, newts, maybe snakes and even dragonflies. So that's why a pond is number one. Then of course there's bird feeders. I feed the birds in my front garden and my back garden. I tend to use a higher quality seed because you get less waste. I put peanuts, sunflower hearts, fat balls, even apples and bread. And of course birds can fly into any garden, but you need to make a nature highway to let other creatures in. Then of course there's your lawn. Now I've given my lawn the spring cut and I won't cut it again until September. And I've got various wildflowers in my lawn, such as cornflower, these snake's head fritillaries, and this is the most important of all. This is yellow rattle just starting up. That's a parasite that will kill off all the grass and help the wildflowers to grow. And this looks amazing in summertime, this lawn, and it attracts so much wildlife like crickets and ladybirds and all sorts. Packets of wildflower seeds like these are widely available. Just give your lawn a good old rough up and then sow these. And as for your borders, try to let them get as overgrown as possible. Here I've got a pile of old wood that attracts plenty of wildlife. Try and have a patch in your garden where you chuck all your garden leaves. That's going to be great for worms and beetle larvae and fully grown beetles like this ladybird. Maybe make yourself a bug hotel, whether it's a load of bamboo cane you've chopped up and stuffed into a corner, or something a bit more fancy like this. And anywhere in my garden that I've got wood, I've drilled holes in, anywhere from 5mm up to 8mm. That's going to attract mason bees and leafcutter bees. Then of course there's a good old bird box, making a home for birds. I've got loads on my house. I've got open cup ones I've tucked away for robins. I've got a funny one I've made to look like a speed camera. I've wedged old shoes into my bushes that robins might nest in. I even drilled a hole through my garage wall so birds can get into the garage. This one here is a fancy one. This is to attract swift when they arrive in May. And I play the bird call because swift are very social, and playing the call will attract them. And a lot of my bird boxes have also got cameras in. And there's not just boxes for birds, I've got boxes for bats. You may get a dozen bats in here if you're lucky. And don't forget to put some nesting material for birds to collect, such as sticks, old grass, and maybe your pet's fur. And if you, like me, haven't driven your car for a while, do check that some of that nest material hasn't ended up in your car. And a great thing to do is to grow a massive climber up your house. This provides cover for birds and food for birds, and it also acts as insulation, keeping your house that little bit warmer or cooler. So I hope you've enjoyed that video. Gardens these days can be so boring, like green deserts, but it's much more exciting if you make it wild for wildlife. Thanks for watching.